We're going to move right on to item number 2, approval of the November the 28th, 2022 minutes. And I need a motion that they be approved.
I make a motion they approve.
Okay. Second by Robert. All for, they be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, consideration of rezoning request of property located on High Tech Drive and East 7th Street from R1 Low Density Residential to R2 High Density Residential ADM zoning request.
Mr. Chairman, we have a request to rezone property located on the corner of High Tech Drive and East 7th Street from R1 Low Density Residential to R2 High Density Residential. This is the Adam rezoning request. This request was submitted by Ken Mabry. I thought Ken would be here tonight, but is he on his way?
He's in the hospital.
Oh,
So I just I tried to call him 2 or 3 times today, finally got hold of his wife, and she said that he wound up having to have some kind of surgery today, so.
okay. So and I'll walk up here and kind of show everybody where it's at. Christian, you tell me, make sure that I'm saying it right. So the property in question would be this property here. And what he's wanting, and he's got, and there's R2 all around it. This one is R1. And what he's wanting to do is rezone this property to R2. He would actually do a lot line adjustment with this lot over here, and then have 15,000 square feet worth of property, and then divide it in half and build a single family residence on each portion. Now, if you're familiar with this property over here, this is the Livingston Housing Authority right there, and then it is the property directly to the east across High Tech Drive from it.
I have a question. Okay, if you're coming up 7th Street and you have to turn left or right on High Tech Drive, at the end of 7th Street is where Larry Gumbel's dad had a grocery store 100 years ago that belongs, I think, to the housing.
That is correct. That's where
Okay,
part of their office is, yes.
okay, now is the lot, if you're facing that, is it to the left?
So if you drive on, just say you crossed and that was the 7th continuing right there, and that's on your right, that property is on the left.
Okay, there's a green property there, and then there's another property that's been dug out where there's a lot of 18-wheelers and stuff sitting.
That's on past it, yeah.
Okay, so it's the green grass property?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
And just to let y'all know, we spoke to Mr. Brown, who is, and do you remember what Mr. Brown's first name is? I can't remember it right now. Anyway, he owns the property directly north of that property. All the other properties around it are owned by the Assured Development and Management Company, which is the Adam, which is the rezoning request. So there's actually only one affected property owner. I spoke with him on the telephone, and he had no issue with the rezoning request.
Any questions for anyone, panel?
This is High Tech, this is 7th.
If none, I need a motion that this be approved.
David Brown owns that up there. Housing Authority. And he owns all this right here. Yeah.
Have we got some more questions on it, Robert?
We're just trying to tell Ricky where it's at. Does it meet all the requirements on everything?
Well, I mean, there's no specific requirements for a rezone, and so, but once he does the lot line adjustment, it will meet the requirements to divide the property in half for two 7,500 acre lots, 7,500 square foot lots. And so then they can build one single-family resident on each of the proposed new lots. So for all intents and purposes, yes, it would. But that lot line adjustment would have to take place, and before the final reading, Ken has told me that he will bring a subdivision plat in front of the Board of Zone, or in front of the Planning Commission for our review.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Bruce and a second by Ricky Mack.
No, me.
Robert? Okay,
Before we vote, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
okay.
Just to let everybody know, this will be recommended to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and then once it gets there, there will be one reading. If it passes first reading, then there will be a public hearing and a second reading. So more than likely, first reading will be next Monday, and then the second reading and public hearing will be first Monday in March.
I do have one more question. Can I still ask the question even though the motion's been presented? Okay. If I understand this correctly, that will be kind of like a street that will go up there, and the houses will be built on each side of that little street with a cul-de-sac at the end. You're going to pull off of High Tech Drive to the right, go up, and there'll be a little street, and then there'll be houses up there with a little cul-de-sac at the end?
Yes. And I would need to say that the proposed extension of 7th Street would have to be completed before that property could officially be subdivided, because it would have to have road frontage. So there's still a lot of moving parts to this, but the rezoning is the first of that process.
Does the city own the street now?
Street.
They do not. It is a proposed street. And so it is a proposed, 7th Street dead ends into High Tech Drive. And so Adam submitted a subdivision plat, preliminary subdivision plat, a year or so ago. Yeah, and for this proposed development, and one of the caveats of that was that street had to be built, and it's not been built yet, but final approval hasn't been granted for that either, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so still a long way to go with this, but this is first step for what he's wanting to do.
Is it correct to say that our approval tonight would just allow it to go to this next step and everything will be dependent upon the first and second reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go back now to the motion. Let's redo this motion. I need a motion on this plan. So, with someone, Bruce, did you give it a while ago?
I made the motion.
Okay.
Yes.
And second?
I second.
Robert was second. Okay, got it. Okay, all for this, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item number 4, consideration of a rezoning request for property located at 399 Salina Highway from R1 low density residential to C1 local commercial Rex zoning request.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have a request from Kelly Wilson Rexburg and Wayne Rex to rezone property located at 399 Salina Highway from R1 low density residential to C1 local commercial. And for those that have been on the Planning Commission for a few years, you might remember this property. It is located on 52 going toward Salina. It's just past Cooper's and right across from UCEMC, right around in that area right there. And This has been R1 before. It was R1 for a very long time. C1, I'm sorry, it was C1 for a very long time.
Maynard's package store when I was growing up.
And a couple of years ago, Mr. Wayne Rex, presented a rezoning request to rezone it from C1 to R1 to establish a single-family residential home there. To my knowledge, that occurred, and now the property owners, Mr. Rex and Miss Kelly Rexberg, now want to rezone it back to C1, and I'll let them address the board, and if you would, tell us why you want to go back to C1. You can come up to the podium, please.
Well, thank you for having us. My father moved me to Tennessee, and I'm now a resident of Livingston, and hopes that I would live there forever with him. But my dream is to have a restaurant with my husband, and so with our experience in the restaurant business, I feel that we'd be a great addition for the town, and bringing in affordable food that is a little bit more upper scale. So that's our dream. If we can turn it back, and we're gonna be about 75 seat. We're gonna have indoor and outdoor if we can get rezoned, with the ability to build on. The parking will be adjacent in the empty lot that we also own. And we'll pave that, make that a parking off the street, off the highway, so.
Ma'am, I was reading your comments down at the bottom here. Mm-hmm. Is this going to be a restaurant? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
A restaurant that you go in and eat there?
Yes. It'll be sit down, dine in, carry out, and we'll also offer catering.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
Since I live in Hidden Valley, what kind of food do you got?
Well, my husband's an executive chef, so I'll be on the front side. Luckily, you won't have to eat my food. But if come up and tell him, that's his
I'd
part.
like to know.
It's going to be European style, and we'd like to be open for breakfast and lunch, and then do reservations only for on the weekends, just to allow people to experience our service, our ambiance, and our hospitality of the community.
I will let you know that Christian, we sent out letters to all adjoining property owners. Christian, did you have any responses from any of those letters?
No, I did not.
One way or the other?
No response whatsoever.
Okay. So they were not, adjoining property owners were notified.
I move we approve it.
I second it. Ricky May, make a motion to approve it, second by JJ. For it, let me know, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I would, ma'am, just to let you know regarding the process, so it's very similar to the one that was before. This will go for first reading at next Monday night. I believe it's February the 7th, or February 6th. And then second reading and public hearing will be March the 6th. If rezoned before construction or any type of remodeling can take place, you would need to bring a site plan to the Planning Commission where you show us the layout, show us your parking, and then once that site plan is approved, then you can get whatever permits you need from Christian to begin whatever type of remodel or construction that you need.
Okay. And should we be present for both of those meetings?
It certainly would not hurt.
Okay. Great, thank you.
All right. Item number 5, consideration of final site plan to establish 2 warehouses on a property located on John T. Poindexter Drive, Bradford Hicks Drive, and North Church Street. Crowder, site plan.
Christian, if you would come up and present this, please.
So Lee, Mr. Crowder is wanting to add 2 more warehouses on this site. These are accessory structures to an existing industry that is happening there now. And normally with accessory structures, we wouldn't bring it in front of the board because it would go. But that does, so back about a year and a half ago, we changed the first 2 lots to C1 so he could get closer on the property line, and that was approved, and he went on with those 2 structures at that time. But this is on the industrial lot that he has, and so we just wanted to make sure that he had the appropriate parking, and which would be 1 per every 3 employee and 1 parking space for every vehicle that is tied to that industry itself, which is WIT over there. I don't think he got his parking drawn out. He has a general layout of what the buildings would be, which would be the same size as the buildings he is. And he does have some more information here if y'all would like to see it. But that's basically what he is asking to do. And the rest of that empty lot there would be his parking. If y'all got any questions, he might be able to help you a little further on that.
Yeah, Christian, just so the board members know, the 2 buildings to the south there that are drawn on that are the existing buildings. The 2 proposed buildings are the 2 that are on the northern side. Does everyone understand? If not, I can go up and show you what are the new ones.
The ones that are kind of dashed in.
That's correct. Yes.
Are these to be used by the manufacturing company there only?
So in other words, they're adding additional warehousing to the existing industry that's going on. So these are not commercial storage units or anything like that. They're warehouses, right, Lee?
That is correct.
Yeah, so.
You got an existing business there that's needing more space, simple as that.
And these do conform with the setback requirements. Christian, do you see anything that does not comply with our zoning ordinance?
No, I don't see anything that
Does not comply. He has the setbacks he's way off of the setback lines, of course, and he owns all the property surrounding it. They're not planning on striping that, as far as individual parking spots. They have a half acre of parking over there. And I think he can, he's draw something out if we need to see that. But the rest of that empty acreage there is his parking. That's the only thing, y'all might want to see something in more detail.
I think I would like to see something in more detail with regards to the parking, just because we'd make anybody else do that.
Yeah.
So, but I do think we can approve the site plan.
Yes.
Pending the drawed-in parking spaces.
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with that anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Tommy, with the motions you're saying, let's hear it again, what you're saying.
Well, I can't make a motion, but what I can do is I can say that I have no issue if we did grant approval to the site plan pending showing us the additional parking spaces that would be required. That's something that can be done fairly easily, and then once that, but I just want you to know, Lee, we wouldn't be able to sign off on any building permits till we got that parking information.
I'll get that to you tomorrow. Yep.
I move we accept it. I'll make a second.
Bruce, any business? Nothing? Richard Mack?
No, sir.
Robert?
No.
Okay. Matilda?
No.
JJ? Okay, I think we're good. I need a motion we adjourn. So moved, okay, thank you. Thank y'all, thank you.